Out of LittleBigPlanet's 26 story levels, there's one that stands out from the rest for being the most empty, boring, uncreative, uninteresting, unfair cutscene of a level that I love to talk about how much I hate constantly. And that level is Skulldozer from The Wedding. This is the third and final level of the world and 10th overall in the game, and in my opinion, is the worst main level by far for a long list of reasons that I'm going to dedicate this time to talk about. The idea for this level is that Sackboy has been made to run away from the giant unstoppable bulldozer for a minute and a half, while trying to collect as many points and prizes as possible by quickly completing various platforming challenges, all without being caught. I don't actually have a problem with this type of level, I just think that it hasn't been done well here. It's disappointing that it's really only this one section that doesn't last very long, until just letting us make it to the end. For the finale of a world, it really doesn't feel like we did anything. Just look at how flat and repetitive the level becomes when we zoom out. I wish there were more sections that used some of this blank space that moved vertically, with having the Skulldozer actually attack us throughout the whole thing. Kind of like the end of the Darkness. Not us staying perfectly horizontal the entire time and barely going near it. It just feels like a waste of potential, when every other story level is so much more developed, with large varieties of obstacles, enemies, and exploration. It actually makes the level feel more like a minigame with how one-dimensional it is. No sticker sensors, no side areas, one checkpoint. Just run to the end to complete the race while collecting the score bubbles. I would actually argue that a lot of the minigames are more fun than this. I think what really says a lot about Skulldozer's design though, is the fact that you don't even need to jump to make it to the end of the level. It gives you that many lives and there are that few real obstacles that just by running and doing nothing else, you're able to beat the so-called boss fight easily. It doesn't work every time, but that just leads into my next point. This level can be so chaotic, random, and unpredictable, which you may view as a good thing, but when all of these structures get knocked down in ways that make surviving nearly impossible, it can feel pretty unfair when trying to ace the level, or collect all of the prizes. This becomes particularly annoying when trying to speedrun 100%ing the game, because when it comes time to do this level, you really just have to hope that it lets you make it to each platform, and that certain prizes won't immediately become inaccessible. Like for example, it's not an uncommon occurrence for this hat sticker to get a ton of speed and just fall out of bounds before you can even reach it. All while hoping that you don't get forced to do some automatic layer change that leads to your death due to all of the different objects in motion. Also related to speedrunning, for some reason, this level has one of the hardest race gates in the game to jump over, which honestly actually feels pretty fitting at this point. Just make the level as irritating as possible. Even the audio isn't able to not have issues, where I guess because of the number of sound effects coming from collisions and other sources, there's always a lot of sounds being interrupted and cut off that make the whole thing sound broken. I don't even think the music is immune to it. And by the way, this level uses my least favorite interactive theme from the base game, which is more just about my preferences as it's not a bad song on its own, but still. Looking at The Wedding as a whole too, Skulldozer just feels like a very disappointing thing to follow up the previous levels with, where we start with this very brightly coloured, energetic setting that feels like a party, all while using heaps of fun platforming mechanics and one of the most memorable songs in the game, that after moves you on to an extremely dark, slow-paced level, making for a lot of tense, horror-like elements, only to then end that all with another kind of dark level that barely lasts a minute and 30 seconds, with an enemy that really isn't much of a threat, which is disappointing with how it was presented in the previous level. I feel like the bats from the darkness are more dangerous than this thing. I just think that with how strong it started out, The Wedding could have been on the same level of greatness as the best worlds in this game if it just had a better finale. It could have also been interesting for the story if they made the Skulldozer more of an actual character, instead of just what I assume to be a vehicle, and how it could have been the one affecting Frida's madness, or the reason why Don Lu was in the catacombs in the first place. But this is just me having fun imagining what could have been. LittleBigPlanet's story has never been anything of real depth. A good example of how to do this kind of level actually comes from the second game with Foul Play, where there's a lot more interesting platforming with the split paths, and even different sections that break the level up into distinct parts. creating a beginning, a chase, an intermission, a surprise, and an ending, rather than beginning, chase, end. Just one extra section in the middle could have made Skulldozer so much more. There's also much more of a threat in foul play with how, for most of it, dying once will force a restart of the level. But I hope that you enjoyed listening to me talk about all of the reasons why I don't like this level. Most of these points are things that I've discussed during live streams, which made me think it would be nice to summarize everything into a video like this. And while everything I said isn't entirely serious, a lot of it is true. So if I ever do a ranking of LittleBigPlanet 1's levels, you can be sure where I would place this one. Thanks for watching.